Four teenagers sit on a bench in Central Park and relax. Everyone has gas bottles and colorful balloons. But this isn't a birthday party, and these aren't helium balloons either. When you inhale one of these balloons, instead of the funny high-pitched voice, you start laughing and get high, but only briefly. Suddenly you can't move your legs, and you feel nauseous. You collapse and wake up again a few hours later in a hospital. What that was? A nitrous oxide poisoning. But what is nitrous oxide? How did the gas from the doctor's office get to parties around the world? And what does this have to do with the British elite, hippies, and sparkling water? Laughing gas is actually called nitrogen monoxide, N2O for short, and it has a euphoric effect on the central nervous system. Means you get high, fast. The high comes after a few seconds and doesn't last much longer, a few minutes maximum. The gas enters the brain via the blood through the lungs. There it attaches to a coenzyme that inhibits protein formation and thus blocks receptors on excitatory nerve cells. This then ensures that these receptors, which actually detect nerve signals in the brain, function differently than they would without the laughing gas. Nitrous oxide is used in medicine, primarily in obstetrics and dental treatments. But where does nitrous oxide actually come from? For the beginning of the story, we have to go back 250 years to Europe. Nitric oxide was first synthesized by Joseph Priestley in England in 1772. He also discovered oxygen and CO2, for example, and invented sparkling water. Because he criticized the monarchy, a lynch mob dismantled his laboratory and tried to set fire to his house. Priestley fled to America, but in England, the chemist Humphrey Davy took up his discovery and dared to try it himself in 1799. He inhaled the gas without knowing what would happen. Davy felt euphoric. He giggles constantly and calls the substance laughing gas. He also realizes that the gas has a pain-relieving effect, so he wants to make his discovery public. Davy invites the British elite to a closed society: industrialists, inventors, scientists, philosophers, poets, and they all come to test the stuff. Nitrous oxide became the fashionable drug of the British elite, and a few decades later, it even became a fairground attraction. This is how the hype reached the USA. In 1844, the dentist Horace Wells was sitting in the audience of one such attraction and saw a trader bloodied his shin with laughing gas, but felt no pain. The next day, he had a tooth pulled by the showmaster. He felt nothing either. Wells wanted to establish the drug in dentistry. With success, it worked very well for many years until he took an overweight alcoholic as a test patient during a demonstration at Boston University Hospital. Wells doses the laughing gas too low, and the man screams in pain. The dentist loses his good reputation, but he still achieved his goal. Nitrous oxide is becoming established in medicine. At the beginning of the 20th century, however, the mood changed. Drugs were suddenly seen as a social problem. In the USA, alcohol was even banned in the 1920s, and so nitrous oxide also lost its popularity. The drug experienced a comeback in the 60s and 70s. Hippies discovered laughing gas for themselves, and balloons were sold at festivals. In this generation, the band Grateful Dead is particularly well known for its use, even taking a nitrous oxide tank on tour with them. At the same time, pool parties were allegedly being held in Hollywood, where inflatable boats were filled with N2O. When the hippies had just grown up, laughing gas experienced the next hype. This time in rave culture, the techno generation not only swallowed pills, but also inhaled balloons. In the 90s, mafia-like structures were formed in the USA to control the balloon trade at festivals. And these are not just any dentists, but some convicted crack dealers. The recipe for success? Simply beat up the competition. A nice contrast to the chilled-out hippies of the past, but incomprehensible, because laughing gas is easy to buy legally. In 2019, laughing gas was number 10 on the list of the world's most popular drugs. So the hype is global. Balloons have also been very popular in Southeast Asia for a good 10 years. In the nightlife districts of major cities in Thailand, Vietnam, and Laos, nitrous oxide is available as a party drug to go. This is now partly illegal, but apparently the sellers simply turn their signs around when the police come. And they tolerate it too. In Australia, the capsules are called nangs. In the USA, they are called whippets. And in the UK, laughing gas is still referred to as hippie crack. In keeping with the earlier rave hype, England is still at the forefront today. 2 out of 3 nitrous oxide users there are under 24 years old. Nitrous oxide is the second most popular drug among teenagers, just behind marijuana. After parties, the entire dance floor is often full of used cartridges. Nitrous oxide is also largely legal in the USA, but doctors have also noticed an increase in its use. The state of New York is therefore pulling the ripcord. From September 2022, the sale of spray cream to minors will be prohibited by law. This is because nitrous oxide is used as a foaming agent in the spray bottles and can therefore be legally purchased. People under the age of 21 are therefore no longer allowed to purchase cream in pressurized containers. Violations of the law are punishable by fines of between $250 and $500. Democratic Senator Joseph Adabo launched the initiative to ban the sale of spray whippets last year. I first became aware of the need to restrict the access and sale of whippets after receiving complaints from citizens about empty cartridges on neighborhood streets, he said. Used whippets piling up in our communities are not only an eyesore, but also indicative of a significant nitrous oxide abuse problem, he said when the law was passed. The ban denies minors easy access to the dangerous nitrous oxide and will hopefully help to curb the problem. However, the number of poisonings caused by laughing gas is increasing, especially among young people. Patients suffer from paralysis and impaired perception. In the USA, experts often speak of a laughing gas epidemic. But what exactly makes laughing gas so dangerous? As a party drug, laughing gas is inhaled directly from a cartridge, known as a whippet, or via a balloon. The amount a person ingests cannot be controlled. Side effects include fainting, nausea, respiratory arrest, and a sudden drop in blood pressure. Death by asphyxiation is also possible with nitrous oxide. Regular consumption of the party drug can also lead to severe neurological damage, such as memory loss, psychosis, and psychological dependence. Basically, it has to be said that some of the effects are poorly researched, and compared to other drugs, nitrous oxide has never been considered a major social problem. But why is nitrous oxide so often filled into balloons for consumption? Nitrous oxide is very cold when inhaled directly from the cartridge, which is very dangerous. There is a risk of cold burns to the respiratory tract and lips. To prevent injury to the mouth, throat, and lungs, the gas in the balloon must first warm up. If consumed frequently, it becomes severe. Wounds in the mouth, damage to the internal organs, the nervous system, and even paralysis. There is evidence that regular consumption of balloons damages the spinal cord and brain. And the aforementioned psychological addiction is also a major risk factor. One example of this is Steve O from Jackass. In the 90s, he took up to 600 of these little cartridges a day. And guess how he got started? In 1994, on the Grateful Dead tour. You see the cartridges and balloons everywhere, in music videos, on social media, and of course, in the pedestrian zone. On TikTok, clips of children having fits of laughter are mixed with warnings from hospitals. But the market is there, and the supply is growing. Brands like Exotic Whip are now selling laughing gas in larger gas cylinders, with flavor. Of course, they say their product is only for cream dispensers and cocktail infusions. You wonder why you don't see any of the aforementioned dangers of nitrous oxide as a warning in the advertising. Just smiling vacationers on the beach. Exotic Whip has turned a potentially harmful legal intoxicant into a lifestyle product. Small, neutral aluminum capsules have become large, colorful bottles, and they are being marketed and sold uncontrolled to young people. But there are enough suppliers who earn money with laughing gas. Exotic Whip is just the most prominent, and the market is growing continuously. So what's the reason for the hype? First and foremost, it is accessible. With the colorful balloons and the cute names, laughing gas primarily conveys fun, almost a seamless transition from a child's birthday party to being high. In addition, it was legal for a long time, regardless of age. The cream capsules can be bought almost everywhere, don't cost much, and look rather harmless to outsiders. The short effect of nitrous oxide also lowers the inhibition threshold. Dizziness plus a fit of laughter for a few seconds sounds harmless at first. No bad trips, no sticking, and no hangovers. In addition, laughing gas is the right substance for our times. Effective high for in between. Works quickly, but doesn't affect you for too long. Made to be integrated into everyday life. A small, but big, escape from reality. No wonder balloons became more popular than ever during Corona. From the USA to East Asia to Europe, the balloons are everywhere, and it remains to be seen how the situation will develop in the future. But now you're asked, have you ever inhaled laughing gas? What do you think about a ban on minors? Write us your opinion in the comments. Like this video and subscribe to Hypology so you don't miss anything in the future.